From the moment you were born, they gave you a name. They whispered it over your cradle. They wrote it on paper. They stamped it into documents. And you thought that was all it was, a label, a sign of belonging, a sound to answer to. But in the ancient world, it was never just a label. Your name was never just what people called you. It was what the universe called you. Because once upon a time, names were not chosen. Names were revealed. In Egypt, in Sumer, in the forgotten temples of India, the name was a spell, a sound code, a vibrational signature that matched the soul's essence. It was not random. It was not given lightly. It was found. Priests and mystics believed that every human being arrived on earth with a frequency, a tone that aligned with their destiny. And to speak that true name aloud was to call the soul into its highest power. This is why ancient cultures guarded names with such obsession. This is why rulers had public names for the world and secret names for the divine. Because to know a name was to hold a key. In Egypt, pharaohs were given multiple names, names that aligned them with gods, with eternity, with cosmic principles. But their hidden name, the Ren, was known only to their most trusted priests. Because that was the name of their power. And to speak it without permission was to hold command over their energy field. It was not superstition. It was ancient science. The Egyptians believed that everything which exists has a name not because humans called it so, but because the act of naming anchored it into reality. To name something was to give it form, and to erase its name was to erase its power. This is why enemies of the pharaohs would carve their names off temple walls and attempt to erase them not just from history, but from existence itself. In Sumer, names were woven into rituals of magic and protection. Clay tablets speak of names given by the gods, names that linked humans to celestial forces. In Hinduism, the vibrational power of names survives to this day. Mantras, sacred names of deities, words repeated not for worship, but for resonance. Because the name of a god was not just a symbol, it was a frequency. And to speak it properly was to merge your energy with theirs. Ancient Hebrew teachings carried this same truth. The ineffable name of God the Tetragrammaton was forbidden to speak aloud because its power was too immense. It was not about fear, it was about respect for the cosmic technology hidden in sound. Even in early Christianity, names held metaphysical power. Jesus did not randomly rename his disciples. He changed Simon to Peter the Rock, not as a gesture, but as a vibrational realignment with his purpose. A name was not just a word. It was a command, a calling, a declaration of destiny. And the further back you go in human history, the more universal this truth becomes. Indigenous tribes of the Americas, Pacific Islanders, mystics of Persia and Tibet, all knew the same thing. Your name is not just for others. It is for the universe. It is the frequency by which reality knows how to respond to you. And this is why across centuries, those in power sought to erase true names. When empires conquered nations, they changed names. They forced new words onto the people, new identities, because they knew that without your original name, you would forget your original power. Slaves were stripped of their names. Converted cultures were forced into new languages. And slowly, the knowledge of true names faded from the surface of the earth. But it was never lost. It was hidden, encoded into stories, buried in rituals, carried in bloodlines that refused to forget. And most of all, it was hidden within you. Because even if the world gave you a name not of your choosing, even if your name was selected without sacred ritual or awareness, the universe still knows your true name, the sound of who you really are, the frequency that aligns you with purpose, clarity, and power. And that name waits, waiting for you to remember, waiting for you to speak it, waiting for you to become what you were always meant to be, not a product of the system, not a slave to labels, but a living sound, a walking spell, a vibration in human form. This is why they fear those who remember. Because a person who speaks their true name is a person beyond control, a person aligned with forces older than empire, a person who cannot be silenced. This is what the ancients knew. This is what they tried to hide. But you are here now, and your name, your real name, is waiting. The universe does not speak in words. It speaks in sound. Long before language was born, before symbols, letters, or alphabets, there was only vibration, only resonance, only frequency moving through the endless ocean of space. This was the first language, the language of the stars, the language of the earth, the language of life itself. And you were born from it. Every cell in your body is vibrating. Every thought sends a pulse into the field around you. Every word you speak rides on the current of ancient sound. But what if sound was never just noise? What if sound was structure? This is the secret forgotten by the modern world. Because once in the temples of Egypt, in the mountains of Tibet, in the sacred groves of Druid sound was not studied for entertainment. It was studied for power. Not power over others, but power over reality itself. The ancients knew what modern science is only beginning to rediscover. Sound shapes matter. Sound sculpts energy. Sound changes form. In the ancient world, they did not build temples randomly. They built them like instruments. Walls angled for resonance, columns placed for echo, chambers tuned like the inside of a musical instrument. Because sound was the invisible architect. It created energy fields that could heal the body, elevate the mind, or open gateways to higher consciousness. Look at the Great Pyramids, not tombs, not monuments, but sound chambers. Precision-cut stone vibrating in harmony with the earth beneath it. Energy flowing not through wires, but through resonance. This is not fantasy. This is ancient science. A science that was buried, but never lost. Today, we call it cymatics, the study of sound shaping matter. Place sand or water on a vibrating plate, and the particles arrange themselves into sacred geometry, patterns from sound, shapes from frequency, a hidden order moving through chaos. And this is just the surface. Modern experiments show that sound can heal cells, repair DNA, influence brainwaves. Ultrasound breaks kidney stones. Frequencies guide neurological states. Music alters hormones. But the ancients knew this long before machines. They knew the voice itself was an instrument of energy, chants that could open energy centers, mantras that could dissolve fear, sacred syllables that could activate parts of the human body science has yet to understand. In Sanskrit, every letter corresponds to a specific energy pathway in the body. In Hebrew, every symbol carries a numerical and energetic vibration. In Egyptian temples, words carved into walls were placed not for reading, but for vibrating with cosmic forces. This was the forgotten science of sound. Sound was not for entertainment. It was for alignment. It was for healing. It was for awakening. But over time, this knowledge was stolen, twisted, hidden. Empires replaced vibrational language with control language. Words lost their energy. Sacred sounds were banned. Mystical chants became superstition because they knew the truth. A world that forgets the science of sound forgets its power. And this is where your name returns. Because your name, your true name, is not just a label. It is a frequency signature, a sound key designed to harmonize with the original language of the universe. Every time you speak your name with presence, every time you breathe your name with intention, every time you chant your name like a mantra, you send out a signal, a frequency the universe remembers, a resonance that calls power back to you. This is why ancient traditions gave initiation names. It was not a ritual of ego. It was a ritual of alignment. To step into your true sound code. To activate the dormant energy within you. Because sound does not lie. Sound does not pretend. Sound does not care for appearances. It moves through truth. And this is why reclaiming the science of sound is the doorway to remembering who you really are. Not a label, not a product, not a number in a system, but a vibration, a living frequency, a spell walking in human form. And the first key is waiting on your lips. Your name, spoken not from habit, spoken not from weakness, spoken with presence, with reverence, with love, because that sound, that ancient resonance, is how the universe knows exactly who you are. If you trace the oldest rituals across the earth, if you travel through the forgotten temples of Egypt, if you sit beside the fire with shamans in the Amazon, if you listen to the chants echoing in the mountains of Tibet, you will find one truth repeating. Names were never decoration. Names were never random. Names were sacred technology. They were keys, not just for communication, but for unlocking the hidden layers of reality. In every ancient tradition, to know the true name of something was to hold power over it. This is why gods, spirits, even the earth itself, all had hidden names. Names that were whispered only in ritual. Names that were guarded for centuries. Because the ancients understood. What is unnamed remains untamed. But what is named with sacred intent becomes a vessel of energy. In Egypt, the ritual of Ren, the true name, was central to spiritual life. Egyptians believed that every human had multiple names. A public name for the world to hear, a secret name for the inner circle, and the hidden name, the Ren, known only to the gods and the soul itself. To lose this name was to lose immortality. This is why ancient Egyptians carved names deep into stone, because stone vibrates with time. As long as your name remained on earth, so too did your energy. But if an enemy erased your name from existence, it was spiritual death. This was not metaphor. This was metaphysics. In the Jewish mystical tradition of Kabbalah, names were built from sacred letters, Hebrew symbols vibrating with cosmic codes. Each letter held numerical values. Each name could be broken down into energy patterns. The divine name of God, the tetragrammaton Yod-He Vav-He, was never spoken casually. because to speak, it was to align yourself with universal creative force. In ancient Vedic India, mantras were built on names, not the names of gods as personalities, but as vibrations of universal forces. Chanting a deity's name was not worship in the modern sense. It was energy alignment. It was tuning the human system to cosmic frequencies. In Tibetan Buddhism, the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum is not just poetic. It encodes entire teachings. Each syllable harmonizes specific energy centers within the body. Names were sound maps, keys to unlocking the multi-dimensional structure of reality. And across shamanic cultures, from the forests of Siberia to the deserts of Australia, naming was a rite of passage. Children were not always given their true name at birth. Names were earned. Names were revealed. Through vision quests, through dreams, through encounters with spirit guides. Because the wrong name could bind you, but the right name could awaken you. The Celts believed that knowing the true name of a spirit gave you power over it. Nordic runes carried names that shaped fate. African tribal rituals used secret names for protection against curses or spiritual attacks. Even early Christianity preserved fragments of this truth. Jesus renaming Simon to Peter the Rock was not symbolic. It was vibrational programming. It was a realignment with divine purpose. And yet, over time, this knowledge was suppressed. Organized religion feared the free use of names. Sacred words became forbidden. True names became dangerous. Mystery schools went underground. And slowly, humanity forgot. Forgot that the sound of a name could heal. Forgot that the name of a mountain could awaken energy. Forgot that the name given by spirit was a destiny unfolding. But this wisdom was never destroyed. It was encoded, hidden in myths, buried in rituals, waiting for those who could see beyond the surface, waiting for those who could hear not just the sound of words, but the energy within them. Today, most people speak their name like a habit, like a brand, like a product stamped onto a body. But the ancients whisper through time, you are not a product. You are a vibration. You are a sound chosen by the universe. And if you dare to seek your true name, if you dare to speak it with love, if you dare to align with its energy, you will remember not just who you are, but what you are. A living spell, a sound made flesh, a fragment of the universe walking in human form. And no system, no empire, no false authority can take that from you. Unless you forget, unless you silence yourself, unless you give away the oldest power humanity ever knew, the power of the name. Look around you. Look at the world we live in. Everything you see, every city, every nation, every law, every idea was first created through words. Not stone, not steel, not weapons. Words. Because words are the original architects of reality. Before anything exists in form, it must exist in thought. Before it exists in thought, it must exist in sound. This is the forgotten chain of creation. Thought becomes sound. Sound becomes form. Form becomes world. And at the very center of this forgotten truth is you. Your name. Your identity. Your entire sense of self is built on sound. From the first moment someone whispered your name as a child, your brain began to map reality around it. Your nervous system adapted to it. Your energy field responded to it. And over time, the name became not just something you answer to. It became the story you live inside. Because words shape stories, and stories shape minds. This is how human beings create identity. We live within invisible stories told through language. Stories about who we are, where we come from, what is possible for us, what is forbidden to us. This is why every culture, every empire, every religion, every system begins with language control. Control the words, and you control the world. Control the story, and you control the people. This is why colonizers erased native languages. This is why conquerors renamed cities, tribes, and sacred places. Because to destroy a name is to destroy a history, and to give a new name is to create a new reality. The ancient world knew this. It was never accidental. It was never innocent. It was a weapon. Look at the history of your own name. Was it chosen from love? Was it chosen from resonance? Was it whispered through ritual? Or was it selected from a book, imposed by a system, given without meaning? And, more importantly, do you feel that name in your bones? Or has it become just another word hollow, disconnected from your true self? Because here is the truth that empires do not want you to know. Names do not just label reality. They create it. This is why ancient mystics meditated on names. This is why shamans received new names after spiritual awakening. This is why spiritual initiates took on hidden names known only to their inner circle. Because when you change your name consciously, when you speak your name with power, when you vibrate your name through every cell of your being, you rewrite reality. You reprogram the story. You shift the energy. This is why you must be careful with what you call yourself. This is why words like I can't, I'm not, I will never are curses disguised as casual speech. You are casting spells every day, not with candles, not with rituals, but with words, with names, with thoughts spoken into sound. The ancient science of words was not superstition. It was survival. It was magic. It was power. And today, that science is returning. People are awakening to the truth. You are not the name given by strangers. You are not the label assigned by systems. You are not the story repeated to control your destiny. You are something older, something deeper, a living vibration, a sound woven into the fabric of the universe. And when you speak from that place, when you align your words with your highest truth, when you name yourself not from fear but from love, you become untouchable. You become free. Because words build the prison, but words also hold the key. This is the secret they never wanted you to find. This is the power waiting inside you now. Speak carefully. Speak consciously. Speak from the place within you that remembers. You were never ordinary. You were never powerless. You were never lost. You are the sound the universe is waiting to hear again. The world taught you that a name is fixed, that once it is given, it cannot be changed, that to alter your name is strange, rebellious, dangerous. But the ancients knew better, because in the forgotten temples, in the hidden schools of wisdom, in the rites of the mystery traditions, to change your name was not to abandon who you are, it was to become who you were always meant to be. Name changes were never random. They were ritual. They were sacred. They were reserved for those standing on the threshold of transformation. Because names hold power, but names also hold history. And sometimes to step into the next version of yourself, you must shed the name of the old. This is why shamans took new names after vision quests. This is why warriors received names after surviving death. This is why initiates in Egypt, in Greece, in Tibet, in every ancient spiritual system were reborn through sound. They passed through symbolic death. They left behind the false self, the constructed self, the identity built by fear, control, and limitation. And on the other side of that death, they received a new name, a true name, a name not given by society but given by spirit. Because a name is a spell, and the wrong name is a prison. Every letter carries weight. Every sound carries energy. And when the soul evolves, the name must evolve with it. But why was this hidden? Why were name changes made taboo? Why do modern systems teach you to hold on to the same name even if it no longer fits? Because systems fear the power of transformation. They fear the human being who realizes they are not bound by their past. They fear the soul who remembers they were not born to be labeled, but born to become, to grow, to ascend. In ancient times, names were fluid because life was fluid. You were not expected to be the same person forever. You were expected to change. You were expected to evolve. And every evolution was marked by sound, by ritual, by the sacred act of naming yourself anew. Think of the stories across time. Abraham was not always Abraham. In the ancient texts, his name was Abram until the divine instructed him to change. Because his destiny expanded. Jacob became Israel after wrestling with the angel. Saul became Paul after awakening to higher truth. Simon became Peter when called to be a foundation of faith. In the East, monks receive new names when they enter the path of awakening. In Africa, new names are given after rites of passage. In the Americas, spiritual names are received in ceremony. Because the soul is not static. The soul is a river, always moving, always shedding, always becoming. And here is what they never told you. You are allowed to name yourself again, not from rebellion, not from rejection, but from remembrance. You are allowed to release names that no longer serve you. You are allowed to speak new names into being. You are allowed to become the next version of your infinite self. But this is not about ego. This is not about invention. This is about alignment. The true name is not chosen by the mind. It rises from the soul. It comes through silence, through dreams, through deep knowing. It comes when you are ready, when you have shed the skin of the old, when you stand naked before the universe and say, I am ready to become. And in that moment, you are given the name not of the person you were, but of the being you were always destined to be. This is the forgotten magic of name changes. Not cosmetic, not casual, but cosmic, sacred, real, and this power has always been yours. Waiting for the moment you remember. Waiting for the courage to speak words not from history, but from destiny. Waiting for the sound of your next becoming. Because you were never meant to stay the same. You were born to evolve. You were born to become. You were born to carry a name that fits not the world's idea of you, but your soul's highest truth. And that name is waiting. There was a time when the sound of your name was not spoken casually. It was sung in temples. It was whispered in the dark before rituals. It was carved into sacred objects, aligned with the stars. Because your name was not just what others called you, it was your shield, your weapon, your connection to the infinite. And the deeper you search into the forgotten past of humanity, the more you begin to realize name magic was real. It was a science. It was a spiritual art. And it was everywhere. In Egypt, priests inscribed names on amulets not for style, but for power. To protect, to bless, to anchor divine energy to the body of the wearer. Names were placed inside tombs to ensure safe passage through the afterlife. Without your name, your soul could wander lost between worlds. But names were not only for protection. They were used for creation. Magicians and healers would chant the name of a deity, not to flatter gods, but to align their body and spirit with cosmic principles. To speak a sacred name was to draw its energy into your life, not worship. Union, resonance. This practice survived across the ancient world. In the Norse traditions, runes were not just letters. They were name symbols of primal forces. Each rune carried a vibrational meaning. To carve a rune was to imprint its power into the world. In the Hebrew mystical schools, letters of names were combined, inverted, sung in special sequences. Because names were living codes. Not just identifiers, but portals. Each variation shifted energy. Each combination unlocked a different pathway. And in the East, mantras were built around names for a reason. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Mani Padme Hum. These were not poetry. These were ancient sound technologies, names transformed into sonic keys that opened energy centers within the body. Name magic was everywhere, until it wasn't. Because over time, as empires rose, as religions consolidated power, as rulers feared what could not be controlled, the practices were buried. Mystics were silenced. Sacred languages were banned. And name magic disappeared from public life. But it did not die. It went underground, preserved in fragments, kept alive by secret schools, hidden within symbols, disguised as myth. And some of those techniques still whisper to us today, waiting for those with the courage to remember. Simple practices lost to the modern world, but alive within the lineage of the soul. Like speaking your name slowly, as a mantra, letting the vibration fill your space. Not from ego, but from presence. Feeling how your name moves through your body. Feeling its shape, its power, or writing your name in sacred symbols. Overlaying it with geometry, with patterns that reflect your truth, not for decoration but for alignment, or creating your own sigil, a symbol built from your name, condensed, purified, made into an energetic mirror of your soul's essence. These are not superstitions. These are ancient technologies, forgotten tools for awakening. And the most powerful of all is the ritual of reclaiming your name, finding your true name, your hidden name, your soul name, the name you were born with before the world covered you in labels. It may come in meditation. It may arrive in dreams. It may reveal itself in silence, or in the echo of words that light a fire deep within you. This is not about abandoning your given name. It is about going deeper, about remembering who you were before you were told who you should be. Because the world trained you to speak words with no life, to speak names with no energy, to live in a story written by someone else. But the ancients knew, when you remember your true name, you remember your power. You remember your origin. You remember that words shape worlds. And your name, spoken from love, spoken from presence, spoken from truth, is the first spell you ever cast. It is the vibration that binds your soul to this reality. And when you speak it with full awareness, the universe listens. It always has. It always will. Not all power is found in the world outside. Not all treasure waits in hidden temples or lost ruins. Some of the greatest mysteries were hidden in you. And your name, your true name, has been waiting beneath the noise, waiting beneath the stories, waiting beneath the layers of who the world told you to be. Because if you go deep enough beyond memory, beyond history, beyond language, you will hear it. The sound of your beginning, the first vibration of your existence, the name that belongs not to the system, not to the family lineage, not to the culture, but to the soul. This is the final secret. Not everyone will find it, because to reclaim your true name is to become a different being. It is to step beyond identity, beyond limitation, beyond the smallness of self-image. It is to remember that you were never just a body, never just a label. You are sound, you are frequency, you are a spell spoken by the universe itself. And the question is not whether your true name exists. It always has. The question is, are you ready to hear it? Because this is the ancient path. This is what the initiates of forgotten temples knew. Before power comes purification. Before truth comes silence. Before your true name can be spoken aloud, you must strip away the false. The names the world gave you, the labels you accepted without question, the stories that kept you small. This is not easy, because the system trained you to identify with illusion, to say, I am my job, I am my status, I am my role, I am what others see. But your true name does not care about any of that. Your true name waits in the stillness, in the quiet moments, in the breath between thoughts. It waits for the soul that dares to ask, who was I before the world named me? And when you begin to ask this question, signs will come. Dreams, symbols, synchronicities, fragments of sound that stir something ancient within you. You may begin to feel drawn to a word, to a sound, to a forgotten symbol, to a name that repeats in dreams. This is not random. This is remembrance. This is the universe whispering back to you. And when that name arrives in vision, in meditation, in deep inner knowing, it will not feel foreign. It will feel like coming home. It will feel like a key sliding into the lock of your being. A soft pulse of recognition through your entire energy field. Because your true name is not outside you. It is inside you. It always has been. And once you find it, once you speak it aloud with love, once you wear it like a sacred garment, the world shifts. Your reality realigns. Because names are not for vanity. Names are for destiny. Names are the invisible code that shape energy. This is why ancient mystics guarded their names. This is why gods of legend concealed their true names from those who sought control. Not from fear, but from wisdom. Because your true name is your purest power. It does not need to be shouted. It does not need to be displayed. It only needs to be known. Known by you, held within you, spoken in the moments of truth when you stand before the universe and declare who you are. And that is the final act of magic. That is the rebirth. To know your true name, to love your true name, to live in resonance with your true name. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not small. You are a word spoken by the stars, a sound older than time, a vibration encoded with purpose. And now you have remembered. Let the world call you what it will. Let the noise of systems echo around you. But within you, within the deepest chamber of your soul, speak the name that belongs only to you. Speak it like a spell. Speak it like truth. Speak it like freedom, because that is what you were born for. You were never here to be labeled. You were here to become. And the moment you reclaim your name is the moment you reclaim your world.